I had lived 35 years without ever thinking that a simple family dinner could break my heart. The table looked beautiful with candles and a soft light coming from the chandelier above. The smell of stew filled the room. Everything felt warm and perfect. But it was all a trap, and I walked into it without knowing. 2 weeks before, my mother had called me. Her voice was sweeter than usual. She said, "Sophia, you should come home for dinner. It has been so long since we were all together." I was unsure. For many years, I had gotten used to my parents only showing love when they wanted something. But a small part of me hoped this time would be different. Maybe they really missed me. So I left San Francisco, leaving behind my busy work life, and drove to my old home in Sacramento. I arrived with hope in my heart. But just a few minutes after sitting at the table, everything changed. It felt like a glass falling and breaking into pieces. My younger brother Parker looked at me and said, "Mom and Dad want you to know something now." His voice was calm, like he had practiced saying it. He leaned back, arms crossed, and looked pleased. My younger sister Olivia sat next to him, playing with her hair and smiling like she had just won something. I put down my fork. Suddenly, the stew my mom made didn't taste good anymore. "What?" I asked, trying to stay calm. My mom looked at me and spoke gently. "Your father and I finished our will. The house and the lake house in Tahoe will go to Parker and Olivia." Her words felt like a knife cutting into my chest. I looked at my dad, hoping he would stop this. But he just looked at his wine and stayed quiet. I tried to understand. "Why?" I asked. Parker shrugged and smiled. "Because you don't need it. You have your own company, your own house, and a good life. Mom and Dad think Olivia and I need the help more." I laughed, but it sounded empty. "Help?" "Olivia, you're 28, and you haven't kept a job for more than 6 months. Parker, you've changed your college major 5 or 6 times. And Mom and Dad paid for every one of them." I could feel my anger building up. My mother looked cold. "Sophia, don't overreact. Your father and I thought this through. You don't need our help. Parker and Olivia need something solid to build their lives on." I laughed again, but there was no joy in it. "And what about all the money I gave you?" "I helped pay off the house. I paid the utility bills. I spent $40,000 to fix up the Tahoe villa. Do none of you remember that?" Olivia laughed and looked at me like I was being silly. "Oh, so you're keeping track of everything now? That's really sad, Sophia. You're rich. Why are you being so greedy?" I stared at her, shocked. "Greedy? This isn't about being greedy. This is wrong. This is using someone." My mom suddenly slammed her hand on the table. The glasses shook. "Enough, Sophia. Stop acting like a victim. You always talk about money. We did this because we love all of our children equally." I felt something cold in my chest. Parker leaned back and said, "You're acting like a kid whose toy was taken away. Everyone here is an adult. You should accept it." I stayed quiet. His words didn't make me angry anymore. Instead, they helped me see the truth. My whole life, I had been fooled. They never truly saw me as family. I was just someone who gave them money. I was their ATM. I put my hands on the table and took a deep breath. When I looked up, my eyes were cold. I finally understood. They did not care about me. I had believed for years that family meant love and safety. But they only cared about what I could give them. I looked at them one by one. My mother, who always called me when bills were due. My father, who never stood up for me. Parker, who wasted money on school and never finished anything. Olivia, who never worked but had more designer clothes than most people dream of. I laughed bitterly. "What about all the money I gave you? Doesn't that mean anything?" My mother crossed her arms and looked at me sharply. "All you talk about is money, Sophia. It's never enough for you." I felt my throat get tight. "Never enough?" I whispered. "I paid the mortgage for 6 years. I took on a loan when you were almost bankrupt. I paid to fix the lake house because you said it was important to keep it for the family. And now you say I'm not part of this family." Olivia raised an eyebrow and said with a shrug, "No one forced you, Sophia. You just liked playing the hero." That sentence felt like a slap. You're right. No one forced me. I looked into her green eyes, hoping to see even a little bit of regret. But there was nothing. Only mocking. I helped my family because I thought that is what families do. I believed we should support each other. But I was wrong. I was the only one making sacrifices. Everyone else just took from me and never gave anything back. Parker rolled his eyes and said I was acting like a child who lost their favorite toy. I could feel anger rising in my chest. A toy? I said slowly, my face burning with emotion. I spent almost $500,000 helping this family over the past 10 years. I gave up my dreams, my chances to travel, to buy a bigger home, or invest in my own life. I gave it all up so that they would not have to struggle. And now they call me greedy, just because I wanted things to be fair? My mom shook her head and sighed like I was just being silly. Family is about love, Sophia, not money, she said. I laughed, but there was no joy in it. Love. I looked around the house I had helped fix and pay for. If this is love, why does it only go one way? Why am I the only one giving and giving? No one answered. They never did. The room went quiet. I saw it in their faces. They did not feel guilty. They did not think they used me. They were only mad because I was finally speaking up. A sharp pain hit my chest. Why did I ever think they would change? I stood up. The chair made a loud scraping sound against the wooden floor. I've heard enough, I said coldly. I'm done. My mom blinked. What did you just say? I looked her in the eyes and said slowly, I'm done. I do not owe any of you anything anymore. Parker laughed, but I could tell he was nervous. What? You're just going to walk away from the family like that? I stared right at him. Yes. And you will soon understand exactly what that means. I turned around and walked toward the door. My mother shouted behind me, her voice full of panic. Sophia, what are you doing? Families are supposed to stay together. You can't walk away over one little fight. I stopped and gave her a cold smile. One little fight? I turned back to face them. This is not a small fight. This is betrayal. I walked quickly toward the front door. Just before I stepped out, my mom yelled one last time. If you walk out that door, do not ever come back. I did not stop. I did not need to come back. I finally had the truth. Driving back to San Francisco, I felt like a heavy rock was sitting on my chest. I kept thinking about the angry words from dinner, Olivia's smug face, Parker's grin, and the cold silence of my parents. The lights on the street passed by like long, empty lines. That house used to feel like home. But now it felt like a black hole that had taken all of my love and energy. When I got to my apartment, I threw my bag on the couch, poured a glass of wine, and sat down. I let out a deep sigh. I was too tired to be angry. I just felt drained. Then I opened my banking app. I looked at what I had been sending my family every month. $2, 100 total. $1, 500 for the mortgage. $600 for bills like water, electricity, and internet. That did not even include Parker's school, holiday gifts, or the vacations they made me pay for. A wave of sadness and betrayal hit me. I had given them everything while they treated me like a bank. I pressed the button to stop all future payments. A message popped up, successfully canceled. I stared at those words. For the first time in years, I felt free, like I had just broken a chain I didn't even know I was carrying. But deep down, I knew they would not leave it alone. The next morning, my phone rang. It was my mom. I ignored it. Then she called again. And again. And again. By the fifth call, I put my phone on silent and let it go to voicemail. I made coffee and sat down to check her messages. Mom, Sophia, I can't believe you did this. Do you know how much trouble the house is in? Mom, don't be selfish. Family helps each other. Mom, call me back. I set down my coffee, closed my eyes, and took a breath. She must have found out about the payments being stopped. Then my phone buzzed again. This time, it was my dad. I felt my heart drop. If it had been before, I would have picked up right away. But I knew he was not calling to stand up for me. I let it go to voicemail. Later, I listened to the message. Dad, Sophia, you need to think about this. Your mom is very upset. You cannot just walk away over something small. We are family. I laughed quietly, but it was a sad laugh. Family? If I was really family, why did no one ever support me? In the afternoon, Olivia called. I did not answer. Then came her texts. Olivia, you're pathetic, Sophia. Olivia, you're petty and selfish. Olivia, you think you're better than us? Olivia, if you didn't want to help, you should have said so. Olivia, you've ruined this family. Congratulations. I let out a bitter laugh. Did they really believe I was the one doing something wrong? Then Parker called. This time, I picked up. Parker, what the hell do you think you're doing? Me, taking back what is mine. Parker, you're disgusting. You stopped helping Mom and Dad just because they didn't give you the inheritance? You're a greedy leech. Me, this is not about money, Parker. It's about respect, something none of you ever gave me. Parker, you're a snake. You think you can just walk away without consequences? Just wait. He hung up before I could reply. A cold chill ran through me. They were not going to let go easily. I looked at my phone again. The names stared back at me. Mom, Dad, Olivia, Parker. These were the people who had taken from me for years. And now that I had stopped giving, they were full of anger, not regret. Not a single, I'm sorry. Only blame and threats. I held my phone tightly, then began to block them one by one. Each name disappeared from my contact list. For the first time in a long time, I felt calm. I knew they would try to come back. But at least for now, I could sleep without feeling like I owed anyone anything. I took another sip of wine and, for the first time in years, I smiled. I was free. 3 weeks passed in silence. After blocking their numbers, I finally had peace. No more guilt. No more pressure. No more fake love. I focused on my work, found new routines, and finally felt like I could breathe. But I knew it would not last. One Friday afternoon, as I sat in a meeting room waiting for a client, my phone buzzed. A message from my mom. Mom, Sophia, the family is having an important meeting. You need to be there. 7 p.m. at the old house. This is not an invitation. It's your responsibility. I closed my eyes. I knew this was not kindness. It was a setup. I could ignore it. I could keep living my new life. But a small part of me still wondered what they were planning. So I replied with one word. Fine. When I arrived, Parker's shiny BMW and Olivia's bright pink Mini Cooper were already parked in the driveway. When I stepped onto the porch, my mother opened the door right away with a fake smile on her face. Sophia, you finally came home, she said. I walked in. The house that once felt like home now felt tight and uncomfortable. My dad sat in the middle of the living room, looking serious. Parker and Olivia were relaxed on the couch, smiling like they had already won something. I knew something was wrong. I pulled out a chair, sat down, crossed my legs, and folded my arms. So, I said calmly, what is this about? My dad cleared his throat. We need to fix this tension between us. I gave a small, dry laugh. Tension? You mean because I stopped paying for everything? My mom spoke gently, trying to sound kind. Sophia, you overreacted. Your father, and I just wanted what was best for you. Parker scoffed. Did you even think before cutting us off? That was so childish and selfish. My jaw tightened. Childish? Selfish. I said quietly but firmly. I've been the one keeping this family going for over 10 years. If anyone is selfish here, it's all of you. Olivia crossed her arms and spoke in a soft voice, but it was full of poison. You're just playing the victim. Let's be honest, you're only mad because you didn't get an inheritance. Anger burned in my chest. I stood up slowly and looked at each of them. I came here hoping you had realized how wrong you were. But no, you're still the same. Still taking, still ungrateful. My mom stood up and snapped, if you walk out that door, don't expect to ever come back. I stood at the doorway, hand on the knob. I looked at her, my voice cold. I never felt welcome here anyway. Then I walked out without looking back. I drove home, my heart beating fast. I didn't know what they would do next, but I knew this wasn't the end. When I got back to my apartment, I froze. My front door was covered in a thick, hard layer of gray foam. It was everywhere, sealing the door shut. Someone had done this on purpose. I didn't need to guess who it was. I grabbed my phone, opened my security camera app, and rewound the footage. My heart raced. And there he was, Parker, wearing a gray hoodie and a cap, smiling as he sprayed foam all over my door. My hands curled into fists. Did he really think this would scare me? That I would beg to come back? No. He was wrong. I saved the video and took clear screenshots of his face. Then I called the police. About 30 minutes later, a young officer came to my door. He looked both kind and serious. I showed him the video and told him everything clearly. Do you want to file a complaint? He asked, sounding unsure. I laughed coldly. I didn't call you here for a chat. He nodded and began taking notes. Parker, that's your brother, right? I looked him in the eyes. Not anymore. The next morning, my dad called. Sweetheart, he said. Does this really have to go that far? Are you calling to ask me to drop the charges? I asked. It's not that, he said. Parker was just upset. He didn't mean to hurt anyone. I laughed. Not hurt anyone? He sealed my door shut. What if I had a meeting in the morning? What if a child or a pet was trapped inside? He went quiet. He wanted to scare me. Well, now he will learn what happens when you mess with the wrong person. My dad said, do you really want to push this? I answered, I'm not the one pushing. Parker did this. If he didn't want consequences, he shouldn't have acted like a fool. He sighed. What do you want to make this go away? $33,000, I said. What? He asked, shocked. That's what it will cost to fix my door, cover legal fees, and the stress he caused me. This is blackmail, he said. No, I replied calmly. This is called consequences. He said, Parker doesn't have that kind of money. Then you and Mom can help him. You've covered for him all his life. What's one more time? He tried to guilt me. Sophia, you're tearing this family apart. I said, this family tore itself apart a long time ago. 3 days later, I saw a deposit in my account, $33,000 from my parents' joint account. No messages. No calls. Not even a word from Olivia. They thought that sending the money would make me disappear. But what they didn't understand was that I no longer needed them. I stood in front of my newly repaired door and ran my hand over the smooth wood. It wasn't about the money. What mattered was that, for the first time, they were forced to take responsibility. They could hate me. They could call me a traitor. But now, they could not control me anymore. I smiled and took a sip of wine. They tried to break me. But in the end, they were the ones who lost. I thought that after sending the $33,000, they would finally leave me alone. But I had given them too much credit. Losing money was one thing. Losing control over me? That was something they could not handle. When they saw they could no longer control me with guilt or fake love, they decided to play dirty. Suddenly, I started getting messages from distant relatives I barely remembered. Aunt Susan wrote, Sophia, I'm very disappointed in you. Your parents gave up so much for you, and this is how you repay them. Uncle Mark messaged, don't let money take away your kindness. Family is forever. Cousin Rachel said, I can't believe you left your parents like this. They're about to lose their home. Don't you feel guilty? I read every message, part of me amused, part of me disgusted. I knew where this was coming from, my mom. Since she couldn't win with the truth, she twisted the story. She made it sound like I was the rich, cold daughter who abandoned her poor parents. It was a perfect lie. But there was just one problem. It wasn't true. I had helped them for over 10 years. I paid their mortgage, their bills, Parker's college, and Olivia's lifestyle. I never asked for anything in return. They weren't abandoned. They just lost their free ride. So I opened my laptop and went on Facebook. I did not post much there, but this time I needed to speak up. Not for sympathy, but to stop the lies. I wrote, I try to be a good daughter. For over 10 years, I paid my parents' mortgage, their bills, and my siblings' tuition. I believed family should help each other. But then my parents wrote me out of their will and gave everything to Parker and Olivia. When I asked why, they said, you don't need it. You have a career. When I disagreed, they called me selfish. When I stopped paying, they called me a traitor. Now they're telling people I abandoned them and left them poor. The truth? They are not losing their house. They are only losing the free money I gave them. I'm sharing this for anyone else who feels used by their own family. Saying no is not betrayal. Setting boundaries is not selfish. And sometimes, family isn't about blood. It's about who respects you. I walked away. And I don't regret it. Asterisk. I clicked post. In just 1 hour, it had hundreds of shares and thousands of comments. Some were supportive. You've done enough. Asterisk. This is brave. Thank you for speaking up. Asterisk. I went through the same thing. Asterisk. Others were critical. Family is family. Don't share this online. Asterisk. You're just looking for attention. Asterisk. It's wrong to talk badly about your parents. Asterisk. I didn't care. I expected this. 3 hours later, my mother called. Asterisk. Sophia, what are you doing? She yelled. I answered calmly, telling the truth. You're destroying this family's image. No, I said. You did that when you lied and made me the villain. She snapped, you'll regret this. No, I said. You will. And I hung up. For the first time, I felt light. They couldn't hide the truth anymore. I had taken back my voice. 3 months passed. No more guilt trips. No more fake love. No more manipulation. At first, it felt strange. Losing a family, even a toxic one, left a hole. But I soon realized that it wasn't loss. It was freedom. I focused on my work. I took a photography class, something I had always wanted to do. I started traveling. I finally saw Paris, drinking coffee by the Seine. I climbed to the top of Machu Picchu and felt the wind brush against my face. For the first time, I was living for myself. Even though I had cut contact, I still heard things through old friends and neighbors. My mother was now working as a waitress. She didn't act fancy anymore. No spa trips. No designer clothes. My father, who had always stayed silent, was working at a construction supply store. No one was paying his bills now. Parker was unemployed. No one was funding his failed startup dreams. Olivia was still pretending to be a social media star, but no one was buying her clothes or trips anymore. They were all struggling. But I didn't feel guilty. I had given them a chance. They ruined it with their greed. 1 year later, I met Alex. I wasn't looking for love. But he came into my life like a quiet breeze. He didn't ask for anything. He didn't expect anything. He just saw me for who I really was. We met on a hiking trip with friends. At first, I thought he was just another face. But he listened. He understood. And for the first time, I felt safe just being myself. One evening, I stood on my balcony, watching the city lights. I realized something deep. No one controlled me anymore. No one used me anymore. I didn't need my old family. I used to think being cut out of the will was the worst betrayal. Now I know it was the best gift they ever gave me. Sophia's story is not just about betrayal. It is about learning to say no. It is about understanding that love should not hurt, and giving does not mean being used. Many people are trapped in families that only take and never give. But this story shows that setting limits is not wrong. It is respect for yourself. Sometimes, walking away from a toxic family is not losing something. It is finally finding peace. What do you think about Sophia's story? Have you gone through something like this or know someone who has? Share your thoughts in the comments. And do not forget to follow the channel for more powerful and emotional stories. ***.